Let's talk about when you're stuck in relationships. Not just stuck, but stuck and unhappy. It totally happens to everybody at some point or another, and you've got a way out. Just like internally right now, you don't need anything else. So we're gonna dive into that today. I'm Stacy Rocklein. I am a relationship literacy coach, and I help people to connect, to create emotional relationships that have depth, and to communicate with the people in their lives without changing who they are. So let's talk about your BFF. This is what I call your best friend filter, okay? We've all got one of these, every single one of us. It's like that little person inside of us, that little voice that has our best interests at heart. Now, nothing hurts worse actually than being in a relationship and feeling stuck, like you don't know what to do. You got a lot of choices, but you can't figure out what the right one is, and being unhappy. It's a bad combination, right? So you don't know what to do, but you know that you're not happy where you're at. And this is where your best friend filter comes in, and I'm going to teach you how to employ that tool that you already have at your disposal. So I'm not talking about what your actual best friend would say, because this is what I want you to think about. I want you to think about if you were giving advice to your best friend, okay? Pick someone that you care about deeply. Like it could be your best friend, it could be a sister, just somebody that you care so much about that you would want the best for them. You want to think about the kinds of things that you would advise them to do. Now, I don't want you to think about what your best friend would tell you, because your best friend, her best friend filter is based on her own heart, what she thinks is best for the world, right? So she's got her own viewpoint that she comes from, and it's different than yours. Whenever you are advising someone else or advising yourself, even when you're employing empathy, you are thinking through your own glasses. So that's what you want to be using. I want you to think about that today as you decide what you're going to tell yourself to do. So first little problem that we run into is that when we're in the moment, when we are stuck in a relationship situation and we're unhappy, the whole experience is very emotional, okay? We're like in an emotional space. We're in our pain. We're in our suffering. It's hard for us to see past the emotions. But when you bring in your best friend filter, the logical brain joins in, right? If you think about it, when your best friend's sitting there and she's struggling and she's stuck, even when you have a lot of empathy and you're feeling for her and you can connect with her emotions, you still have your logical brain present because you're not inside the pain circle. It's not your pain. So you can think a little bit more clearly. So that's one of the reasons to employ yours, because you start to pull yourself into a combination of thinking mind and heart, and you're not just wrapped up totally in the pain, okay? The next thing that we tend to do is when we're in a moment in a relationship pickle, let's just say, we are thinking about all the players, right? We're thinking about ourselves, we're thinking about the other person. We know them, right? We know them. And so we know their past, we know what their struggles are, we know what their problems are. We know what our different choices, the effect they're going to have on that person. And so we are thinking about all the players, right? Your best friend is not. Your best friend is thinking about you, right? They have the perfect amount of tunnel vision. They're taking the information that you're giving and they're thinking about you. And that's what you do for your best friend, right? She's in pain and she's telling you all these things. You're not worried about her boyfriend. You're not worried about her spouse. I mean, you might be thinking about them, but you're really like, what's the best thing for this person that I love so much? You have just the right amount of tunnel vision on what's good for her, right? You don't allow for as many inappropriate behaviors. You're not as maybe forgiving and accepting of some of the things that you might be inside the relationship, right? You tend to be a little bit more protective of that person. So that's another advantage of using this filter. And then finally, your best friend filter allows you to kind of see the bigger picture, right? We get stuck in the how and the hard When we think about our options, we're like, I don't even know how I'm going to do that, right? Or that seems so hard. We get really like stuck in this moment, like what's the next step forward? How do we do the next thing? That seems really difficult. Where when you're advising a best friend, you can see the whole picture. Like you can see the other side of a hard thing. You can see the advantages of following through on an option and seeing to the other side of it. It's really hard to do when you're stuck in it. So that's what I want to encourage you to do today. If you're stuck, if you know someone who's stuck, please share this with them. If you're stuck and you're feeling unhappy and you're sort of paralyzed by inaction, I don't know what to do, just stop for a moment and allow the best friend inside you to come out to advise you. That inner voice is really tied into your heart. That inner voice can see the big picture past this hard moment and how you're going to do it to what's best for you, right? That voice has enough of a tunnel vision to know that love of yourself and taking care of yourself is the most important thing, no matter what is going on with the other players, right? That inner voice has thinking mind too, has logic present, is not so wrapped up in the emotions that you can't move. You've got all that within you. All you need to do is take a little bit of time to think about sitting across from someone that you care super deeply about, that you love very much, and think about what you would advise them to do, and then advise yourself to do the same. Because your best friend, your internal best friend, is going to treat you oftentimes way better than you're going to treat yourself. And that's the voice to listen to when you're hoping to get unstuck and move forward, and do it in a healthy way that is connected to your heart and what is absolute best for you in your life.